Hey, how's it going everyone? I'm Bricko and welcome to my character tier list for July 2020. A lot has changed since the last time I did this tier list. First of all, we have 8 new additions, 8 new characters that are now added to this tier list, and a lot of existing ones moved to a different tier. Also, because of all the new additions, I decided to add a 6th tier, the Diamond tier, just to kind of spread it out a little bit more because the Gold tier was getting a little bit too saturated. So it should be much more accurate now. Let's go ahead and start with the Diamond tier this time with Willa and Basil here at the top. Basil is a new addition to this tier list, and Willa moved up here from Gold. This is a very powerful duo. I personally don't have both of these characters at 7 stars. I don't even have Willa unlocked, but from the footage I've seen of these two characters both at 7 stars, I would say that they definitely deserve to be in this tier, and they are a very difficult duo to take down, and they are only going to get better in the future. Then of course we have Magisto here. He is the glue that keeps the castle team together, especially if you're running characters like Barnabas and Jester. You are going to need Magisto in your team, and he is just a really great character all around. For the pirate faction, we have Redbeard and Scarlet here. Redbeard, in my opinion, is the best character in the entire game. He has tons of damage with his basic, his shark attack, and of course his ultimate ability. I've seen his ultimate do over 14,000 damage, and I've even seen his basic attacks get over 6,000 with the Forbidden Island set. And then he also has lots of control with his Disarmed and Stun, and he can also clear debuffs and heal your team. Just overall, a really well-balanced unit that is super effective in a variety of teams, not just a full pirate team. It's a similar story with Scarlet. She works well in a variety of teams, and she is just a really fantastic pirate tank, and the duo of Redbeard and Scarlet is also one of the best duos in the entire game. Then we have Master Wu, who I think is the second best unit in the game. He is just fantastic all around. Again, he works in almost any team. All of his abilities are super useful, and he works really well under the AI control. He has one of the best ultimate abilities in the game that also works really well with Redbeard, because the vulnerable will make Redbeard do even more damage, and that duo can be quite effective as well. Basically, those two characters work well in just about any single team. Then we have Aurora here, and this is specifically talking about the Aurora with the Ice Glider. If you were running her without the Ice Glider, I would probably drop her down to the Platinum or Gold tier because she loses a lot of viability. The Ice Glider is what resets the cooldown on her revivability and allows her to just keep reviving characters over and over, which is super effective for certain arena teams, and of course for campaigns, and obviously for Brixpedition. She is probably the best unit in the game for Brixpedition because it basically means that you'll never have to spend your guild currency on medkits because Aurora can just bring back your characters. And then we also have Gorwell in this tier. This is the only character on this list that is exclusively available from bags at the moment. I assume she is going to be farmable or at least accessible very soon here with the upcoming space raid and whatnot. But yeah, she's a great plug-and-play character as well. At the start of the battle, she is going to give a status effect called Infestation to your team, which will boost speed and offense, which means that even on defense, your characters will go first, which is very powerful. Using Gorwell, I've been able to get like my Kai to hit for a basic attack for over 11,000 damage. So she will not only help keep your team alive and make them be a bit faster, but the attack boost is going to be really great as well. Then we have the Platinum tier, which I guess is technically the new tier I added to this list, so everyone in this category came from somewhere else. At the top here, we have 2 fantastic castle characters, Barnabas and Jester. They're not quite Diamond tier, but they are very effective, especially when paired with Magisto. For the pirates, we have 3 here, Hank, Bart, and Valiant. These 3 are just all around really great characters and work really well in a full pirate team or a mostly pirate team. Hank is a great damage dealer, Bart has the best single target heal in the entire game, and Valiant is just a great tank all around. And those 3 with Scarlet and Redbeard is a very effective team. For the Ninjago characters, we have Lloyd and Jay. Jay is a new addition to this list, and Lloyd moved up here from the gold tier. These are both two very, very good characters. They're used in a lot of arena teams, but they're not quite diamond tier. They just don't quite have the edge, in my opinion, but they are still very, very effective characters. And then we have Firefighter Ash and Highwayman, who are also two of the best attackers in the entire game, but in my opinion, they're not quite diamond tier because they really lack important tags, whereas like a character like Hank has the pirate tag, so he can be used in the gold event or the woo event, whereas there just isn't really any events for city or collectible characters. I'm sure in the future those two factions will have their time to shine, but for now there are too many other units that you should prioritize farming before you go after Ash or Highwayman. So that's why those two characters moved down a tier. Then we have the gold tier. Storm is still here at the top. She's a really, really solid attacker, but for some reason she does have a taunt, so that's going to make her slightly less effective. I think without the taunt, she might even be in the platinum tier because she does have so much damage. And also the castle tag. Then we have two spooky characters, Spooky Girl and Yorick. Although Yorick has a ton of tags, he's also a pirate character and a castle character. All around, he's just a really well-balanced character in terms of just where he works in the game. He doesn't necessarily have the best stats, but if he is farmable when you're watching this video, I would recommend that you go after him. And Spooky Girl is a really good attacker. Her AoEs can get to over 4,000 damage. Then we have Argenta and Governor. Argenta moved up here from Silver, and Governor is a new addition to this list. These are two very solid pirate attackers, but in my opinion, these are the two you could probably swap out with another character, maybe like Master Wu, into your full pirate team, and make it just a little bit more effective. And also Governor is just very, very difficult to farm. The only Ninjago unit in this tier is Kai, and like I mentioned earlier, he can do a lot of damage, especially with his ultimate. If you use it right after Wu's ultimate, you could potentially hit for over 6,000 on each enemy. So he is really, really good, but I don't think he's quite platinum or diamond tier because he doesn't have a lot of health and not great survivability. But overall, he's one of my personal favorite attackers in the entire game. After that is Officer Primo, who not a lot of people have unlocked yet since this event has only run once, and that was in the soft launch, so I would say it's probably less than 100 people that actually have this character unlocked, but those that do have him say some pretty good things about him. He seems to be a solid character, even at 5 stars, and I think at 7, he would be very, very good in a city team. Then we have Locust and Reed, who are the two best space characters, besides Gorwell, if you don't count her. Luckily, both of these two are super easy to farm, and they're both really, really solid units. Locust has fantastic abilities, as well as Reed. Reed has one of the only stun abilities in the game, and stun is one of the best debuffs because it will do a lot of things, including making the unit skip their next turn and disabling their passive ability. So it can be quite effective. And then at the bottom here we have 4 collectible units: Yuppie, Yeti, Fitness Instructor, and Hiker. You probably noticed that Yuppie moved down here. He was previously in the Platinum tier. In my opinion, I always ranked him too high. He's a decent unit. He has a great revive. He has an awesome mass assist, but he's generally just way too easy to kill, and no one really runs Yuppie except in very, very specific teams. After him is Yeti, who is a decent attacker tank combo character who works really well in the campaigns. Then we have 2 really great healers. Fitness Instructor can heal as well as give attack up and critical chance up, and Hiker has one of the best AoE heals in the entire game. Next is the silver tier, and first of all, yes, Brutus did move down from gold. I think it was about time. He is, again, a decent unit, but he's not necessary to a castle team by any means. Then we have Headley here, who actually moved up from bronze. I think he is a very underrated character, one of the most underrated in the game. At 7 stars, he is actually quite solid and very difficult to kill. Verta is also also here. She is another castle character that is decent but not amazing. She does have some solid damage, and it might be good to farm her for the Officer Primo event. And then below her we have a couple pirates, Darwin and Lee. Darwin is one that you might want to farm just for the gold event if you don't have any other good options, since he is a pretty quick farm. And again, he's also a character that I think is very, very underrated. He can actually dodge quite a bit and do some really decent damage in a full Buccaneer team. And Lee is a new addition to this list. She is not an amazing character, even at 7 stars. She has some interesting heal mechanics, but that just don't really work in practice, so I probably wouldn't worry about her too much. Then we have Zane, who actually I moved down from gold. There's probably an argument to be made that he should stay in gold, but personally I just feel like he fits more comfortably into the silver tier. There are so many other characters you should run instead of Zane, and I don't think he's really going to have a time to shine until we can start getting that Cyber Dragon set or the dojo 2, 4, 5 stars, but that will be quite some time down the road. Then we have 4 city characters. City is a faction that has lots of potential, but they're just not quite there. Chef is a really good healer. Sal and Crook Chuck are pretty decent tanks, Sal being the better one in my opinion, and then Trent being a decent attacker as well for the city faction. Then we have 2 other space units, Kartovsky and Cold. These are 2 very mid-tier space characters. They just need some slight adjustments, and they could be a lot better. Cold has some really good abilities, and the anti-stealth mechanics on Kartovsky are quite nice and could potentially be useful in the future. And then at the bottom here, we have Demolition Dummy, who I did move down from the gold tier. His AoE is really solid, but he's not amazing, especially if you're not using him with Aurora and the Ice Glider. Then we have the bronze tier, and at the top is LeQuay, who is the worst pirate character in the game currently. There are just too many other good pirates to go after, and it's not even really smart anymore to farm him just for the gold event, since there are a lot of other choices. Great White and Nia are 2 Ninjago characters that both land in this tier. Great White looks like he's going to be a decent character with Garbodon in the future, but right now he almost has no use in the entire game, and his abilities aren't anything too special. Nia had lots of potential with her rework, but in the end it just didn't end up working. I think down the road she's definitely going to be solid with Jay and the Cyber Dragon, but currently no one has the Cyber Dragon at a usable level, so it will be probably a few more months before we find any use out of Nia, so currently I've moved her down to the bronze tier. Then we have a couple other city characters, Poppy and Minor Clay. I mean, again, City has lots of potential, but these 2 characters aren't incredible. And Clay is actually decent when he's at 7 stars, and he is useful for the Missing Materials event. So I did decide to move him up here from the useless category. And then we have Dwayne and Kelvin, 2 space characters that I moved up here from useless because they are useful for the Gorwell's Great Escape event, and I'm sure they're going to be used in raids or for raids or after raids in some kind of way in just a few months here once the space raid does arrive. My personal guess is that they're not going to be great for the raid itself, but I think that the raid reward character will be a space character that will make the entire space faction much better, and I wouldn't be surprised if most or all of the space characters got reworks as well. We will have to see. But yeah, I finally made it out of the useless category. I'm quite glad that that happened. And then yeah, we do have Chicken Soup Guy here. Some newer players are kind of confused why I rank him so low, and that's because he is amazing early on, but that's because you start with him at 3 stars, so he seems like a really good attacker, but once you get to around level 30, his damage completely falls off and he becomes one of the worst attackers in the entire game. And then last in the bronze category, unfortunately, is Cactus Girl. She was once arguably the best character in the entire game, but she got nerfed a couple times, and she is no longer nearly as effective as she once was. And then finally, we do have the useless category. Only 3 characters in this tier this time: Zombie, Hot Dog Suit Guy, and Iggy. Of the three, I would say Zombie has the most potential to become a better character, especially with all the new spooky characters that have recently been released, but if he somehow gained a way to regain Revive, I think he would immediately jump up to at least the gold tier, maybe even platinum. Hot Dog Suit Guy is a pretty poor character. He even had a full rework and is still in the useless category. And Iggy is probably the worst character in the entire game. I mean, he will even inflict debuffs on himself. So yeah, he's just a pretty poor character. So yeah, that is my character tier list for July 2020. If you have absolutely any questions, feel free to leave them below, or you can join the Discord server, which is also linked below. And I'm going to post the image of this tier list without all the icons to the infographics section in my Discord server as well. So if you want to download this image for yourself, you can find it there. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one.